Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is such a weird game. It's a game that I did not like originally, but after playing this game, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, I had kind of a new appreciation for controller support in like kind of these MMO style combat games. I think that this game has taught me that sometimes you have to have the right mindset to enjoy things. And sometimes you need time and perspective to get that mindset. When I picked this game up in 2020, I had just finished Final Fantasy X and was looking for a mature narrative and kind of like an MMO style combat system. And when I scratched the surface, what I saw was this game with like a really horny story, this like really slow combat system, and just everything took forever to kill. And 5 years later, and just a little bit of different life experience, playing a few different games, I found a game with a story that doesn't really hold your hand. It's one of the most intricate combat systems and fun combat systems to play, and a game that I have not been able to put down since picking it back up. Now, one thing I'll say about this game is I had to watch some YouTube videos. I needed some online help. And if you want to pick this game up, biggest thing I'll say is there's this item called Narcipair jelly that your guy can eat that reduces the time in between the little combat abilities, the driver arts abilities. And oh my god, it makes this game playable. Like, everything goes from being a slow slog to a really fast rhythm game. The second was embracing the blade rolling system and just like not overthinking it. Just absolutely just roll blades. I thought this was like a gotcha system inside of this game where you can just like get bricked and like kind of get stuck in the game because your blades were bad. But honestly, just like don't overthink it and use blades that complement your current blades until you get the rare ones. The next thing is that there is no encyclopedia in the game. I couldn't believe that for a game from 2017 that they didn't have some kind of in-game reference system. So I came in with the perspective of I'm gonna Google some shit. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT. I'm gonna be asking game facts. I'm gonna be looking stuff up because it's practically mandatory when you can't reference any of the tutorials later on in the game. And then the last thing I'll say is I played the first Xenoblade Chronicles a couple years after picking this one up, and I enjoyed it so much. I rolled credits after that 60-hour journey, and I was really happy with that experience. And I think that kind of gave me a new perspective on this one. But I will say, man, it's such a weird combat system. There are 7 different resources you have to manage. You got to know about your weapon swings. You got to know about your ability cooldowns, your arts cooldowns. You got to know about your personal driver level. You got to know about the party resource bar. You got to know about the driver combo level. You got to know the current combo on your target. You got to know your team's health. There's so much stuff to manage. It's kind of surprising because combat in this game is measured in minutes. And most of the time, you're just trying to do your combat rotation. I think the first time I had an actual mechanic, like in air quotes mechanic for a boss, was like 20 hours into the game where you had to swap to a target and burn it down very quickly. But to be honest with you, this combat, despite all of its weird quirks and flaws, is really engaging. And I hadn't even realized that most of these bosses have just been target dummies with nothing going on other than that. I know that's like a weird compliment to give a game, but it was just fun to just press the buttons. It's kind of like a rhythm game with an RPG trench coat. The progression system is also so weird. There are like 100 things that affect your power level and your character that have almost no synergy with each other. That sometimes you just even forget that they're there. There's the food, there's the accessories, there's your blade ability levels. Your blades have your own skill tree. You have your own skill tree. You have gear for your blades. You have different kinds of blades. You have blade weapon trips. You have your characters leveling up from XP. The XP isn't even applied until you go to an inn. It's like, it's crazy. And like, I will say one thing that was interesting about having all of these things is that when you felt like you were stuck on a boss, you said you would go and look at all of them, like all of the different progression and powering up systems, and kind of like catch up. And then your character very quickly, without ever having to do any grinding, would suddenly go from feeling like pretty, you're like barely able to get the boss. Probably, if you died, you're just a little bit short, to like, okay, now you feel strong. And it's like, it was these points where the game pushes back at you and forces you to either go and level up through like traditional RPG systems of just like going and attacking mobs and leveling up, or just like look at the progression system and catch up on all the stuff that you didn't even realize you were missing. The other thing is that the content goals are just so widely spread. There's like this system where you send your blades out on missions called a merc team. There's an unlock for your blade skill tree nodes that are like, they're kind of like little side quests to unlock the little nodes on the skill tree. There are side quests. There's a main quest. There's this like town development. It's a big ball of content, things that tell you what to do. And I just kind of ignored most of them except for the main quest, and I had a pretty good time. There's also like way too many vendors in this game. Like, there's just so many different kinds of food, and each accessory has their own vendor, and then there's the blade weapon vendor, and the blade accessory creation, the blade weapon creation. It's just a lot, and it's, if you don't want to just be with this game for a long period of time, you just kind of want to go through the main story, it just felt a little bit overwhelming. But again, it was one of those things where, like, all right, if you actually take the time to learn about this and understand the different foods and the different food items, it's actually not that much. It was kind of just like, what part of the combat system do you want to speed up? Going back to those resources that I had before that you had to manage in battle, they had something that affected any of those resources. I think that's kind of neat. But it's so strange because even though everything feels so disjoint, the characters have some very awkward, cringe moments. And many times I felt confused as to what even I needed to do. There's something about this game that I have not been able to put down. And I found myself thinking about my team setup and different things to upgrade when I'm not playing. Like, I'm in the shower and I'm thinking about, what if I had this blade combo? What if I used this weapon? What if I was doing this? And I don't know, those kinds of moments are just really special with a game. Despite the cringe commentary, I've chuckled at the mix between serious and not so serious moments. It's an intriguing story that is not too obvious, and honestly, through most of the game, I wasn't really sure where things were going. Normally about like 10, 15 hours in, you're like, yeah, that's the bad guy right there. I know we gotta kill that guy. And I didn't really have that feeling. There was a lot of moral gray areas, let's say. I also think the fact that this game came out for the Switch, the year that the Switch came out, is mind-boggling. The quality of this game is so high, and the environments are creative and look great. Like, inside of there's this one part where you're inside of this giant creature's stomach, and it's this beautiful kind of like flora, underground lake area. It's gorgeous. And the crazy thing is, like, the draw distance, you never feel like, wow, I can't see anything. You can go from one side of this underground lake area, probably like, I don't know, maybe 5,000 yards, and see the entire environment. Just, that is crazy compared to just some of the games that came out for Switch in this last year. Could not possibly comprehend it. Let's see, what else do I have in my notes here? I really like, just like a small presentation thing, the end card at the end of a chapter, black text, chapter 1, title. Something about that presentation, it just feels like it caps that chapter with a sense of weight that's almost tactile. That was a decision that they made to say, this is the end. This is the stop. And I don't know, I just kind of love that. It's like you're going through an intense cutscene and all of a sudden, end card. And you just have to like put the system down and process what you just saw. It's like a moment that the game tells you, hey, you need to stop for a second and just appreciate what you just saw. Like overall, despite how uncomfortable this game has made me, I have a feeling that once this game clicks with you, the chances that you finish the story is very high. I think that the systems, once you kind of get over the initial hump, it's a fun ride to go down and a really like enjoyable ride to get all the way to the end to. And honestly, this game's made me think a lot about art in general, and if the viewer of the art needs to meet the person where they're at, or if the person needs to meet the art where it's at. We live in a time where the highest budget shows, movies, and games hit the widest possible audience. And sometimes it feels like making things for everyone almost feels like you've made something for no one. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was not made for everyone. There are some clear decisions that they made that put a huge number of people off. But the people that like this thing really like this thing. Mark Rosewater, one of the developers for Magic the Gathering, talks about he'd rather design a mechanic that people either love or hate. And the worst thing that you can design is a system that makes people feel indifferent. Now, that being said, it's a really hard ask to get someone to spend $60 on something that there is a good chance not only will they not enjoy it, they will actively dislike it and share those negative experiences about it. But you also don't want interesting experiences like these to go unmade or to be relegated to microscopic budgets that prevent the art from meeting its potential. I know that's kind of like a little bit philosophical thing about the games industry in general, but I just think it's kind of an interesting thing to think about, and it's just impressive that a game like this just was made, and how awesome it is, and how interesting everything is, despite all of its quirks. I'm really looking forward to playing the third one now, and I'm just jamming on it. I finished the game a couple of days ago, and I brought some tears to my eyes. I really related to Rex and his story, and it hit me at a time that I needed it to hit me, and I really like that. And I feel like that's something that I've heard a lot of people say about books, and this is probably one of the few times that I've heard about it or felt it with narrative stories in games. So yeah, do you guys like this game? Did it make you think about different parts of your life or your appreciation for things? Do you think that the artist needs to make the art to meet the person, or do you think that the person sometimes needs to make its way and meet the art where it's at? I'm interested. Let me know what you guys think about that. All right, peace.